Hi, I'm Bridget A. from Drunk Dog Creative, and today I'm going to teach you how to do the waffle stitch. This is a great stitch if you want something with a bit of thickness and a bit of heft to it and a bit of texture. I find it perfect for these little dishcloths that I've created because it has some nice texture for scrubbing. It has thickness to hold water. And it's just a good size for using in the kitchen or the bathroom for dishes or countertops. So I'm going to teach you how to do this waffle stitch, which is fairly simple. If you know how to double crochet and front post double crochet using the US terms, you can do this stitch. If you don't know how to do front post double crochet, there's another video on my blog at drunkdogcreative.com that will teach you the front post double crochet. Anyways, I'll go through this all as I teach this stitch, and there will also be a pattern for these dishcloths on the blog at drunkdogcreative.com. So let's get into it and learn how to do the waffle stitch. Right now I'm using 100% cotton yarn, which is what I use to make my dishcloths. Normally I use Lily Sugar and Cream, but it can be hard to get where I live in Australia. So I've just picked up at some point, some Abbey Road cotton from Spotlight because I like the colors. This colorway was a different one, same yarn. I've had it in my stash a while, so I'm not sure if they still have it, but because I'm designing these dishcloths at the moment, I'm using this yarn. You can use any yarn. This is a waffle stitch I'm making out of super bulky, thick yarn. This is going to be a pillow cover, a throw pillow cover for my couch. You can see this is really chunky yarn, and it makes this very thick fabric, which is just going to be divine on the couch. So use whatever yarn you want and use whatever size hook goes with that yarn. So I'm using a 4mm hook for this. I am not endorsed by anybody, so the yarns and hooks and things I recommend I'm not being paid or compensated in any way for it. This is a hobby for me, not a business. I'm just sharing the love because I'm a teacher at heart. So let's talk about this. Whatever you're going to make with the waffle stitch, you need a foundation of double crochets, a row of double crochets in multiples of 3. So if you're going to use a foundation double crochet, which does the chain and double crochet all in one, then you want multiples of 3. If you're going to do a chain and then double crochet the row, you want multiples of 3 plus 2. So I want 12 stitches. So I did 14 chains. 12 plus 2 is 14. And my first double crochet, of course, was in the 4th chain from the hook. So what I've got is if you can see this, a turning chain. And then 11 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 to give me 12 stitches for this demonstration. So multiples of 3 is what you want to end up with. Then I'm going to chain 2, which is my turning chain, and does count as a stitch. So when I turn, the first stitch I make is not going to be into that first stitch of the row because this turning chain counts as that stitch. The first stitch is going to be in the next stitch in the row. Now this is a 2-row repeat. So we're going to count this foundation row as, it's technically row 1, but for this video, we're going to make it row 0. The first row of the repeat is you have your turning chain, and then you do a front post double crochet around the next stitch in the row. And then you do 2 double crochets, 1 in each of the next 2 stitches. I'm making my tension a little loose so I can go slower here. So what I've done is my first multiple of 3. I've got the turning chain counts as the first DC of the row. And then I start my multiples of 3. Front post double crochet around the next stitch, double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. Now I'm going to give you a hint. When you're doing front post double crochet, that means you leave the stitch behind it unworked. The most common mistake I made when I'm combining post stitches and normal stitches is I will either work this next stitch into that one by accident, which then gives me a wrong stitch count and a puckered and wonky fabric. Or I will mistake the stitch next to it for that stitch and work my next stitch too far over here, which also gives you a wrong stitch count and a wonky fabric. So if you're not sure, the best thing to do is to just flip your fabric over and make sure that you've skipped the correct stitch behind the post. The other thing you can do is just pull the fabric out a little bit and then sort of gauge where that stitch is. That's just a helpful hint. All right, let's go back to making the waffle. So you repeat those 3 stitches all the way until the last 2 stitches of the round, which includes that turning chain. So front post double crochet around the post of the next stitch. You can tell which one that is because there's your front post, there's your 2, and there's your next one. And then a double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. So that's another repeat of 3. So front post double crochet, double crochet, double crochet. And you do that till you're at the last 2 stitches of the round. So front post, double, double, and now I'm at the last 2 stitches of the round. I'm going to do a front post double crochet around that next stitch, and I'm going to do a double crochet into the top chain of that turning chain. So now for my first row of the repeat, what I've got is a turning chain, which counts as my first double crochet, and then a group of 3, front post double crochet, double crochet, double crochet, and repeat that all the way to the last 2 stitches. Front post, double crochet, double crochet, front post double crochet, double crochet, double crochet. Then my last 2 stitches of the row is a front post double crochet and a double crochet into the top of that turning chain. That's my first row of the repeat done. Let me just untangle this a bit. Now I'm going to chain 2 for my turning chain, and again that now counts as the first double crochet, so I'm not going to work into this first stitch, I'm going to work into the next stitch. So for row 2 of the repeat, it's the opposite. I'm going to do a double crochet into that next stitch, and then I'm going to do 2 front post double crochets around the posts of the next 2 stitches, 1 around each of them. So now my repeat of 3 is double crochet, front post double crochet, front post double crochet. So let's try that. Double crochet, front post double crochet, front post double crochet, and you repeat it till you have 2 stitches left in the row. Sorry, I've been working in the round on another project lately, so my brain seems to be stuck there. All right, we're at the last 2 stitches of the round. You're going to do a double crochet into both of those. So double crochet into the stitch, double crochet into that top chain of the turning chain. And then you have completed the second row of the repeat. So turning chain, which is your first stitch, and now triplets of double crochet, front post double crochet, front post double crochet. Repeat again, double crochet, front post double crochet, front post double crochet. Repeat those 3 till you're 2 stitches from the end, double crochet, and then double crochet in the top chain of the turning chain. And then you just repeat those 2 rows all the way. So again, I'm on the first repeat, so my turning chain 2 counts as a stitch. I'm going to front post double crochet around that next one, and then double crochet in each of the next 2. And once you're at this point, it starts to get easier to remember what you're doing because you can clearly see which ones are the front post ones and which ones are the regular ones because they start to have texture and stick out. So repeat the 3 again, front post around the front post double crochet, followed by a double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. And you do that until the last 2 stitches of the round. And on the last 2, you do a front post double crochet around the post, and then a double crochet into the top chain. Sorry, sometimes it's hard to get into top chain of that turning chain. And again, chain 2, prepared to turn. So you can see the pattern starting to take effect now. And it becomes easier to know which stitch to do where. So we've done our chain 2 and we've turned. Again, we don't work into the first stitch. We repeat row 2 again now, where it is just simply a double crochet into that next stitch, and then 2 front post double crochets. And you can clearly see which of these stitches are sort of, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but the ones that are sort of behind the bar and the ones in front of the bar. So that would be a normal double crochet, and that would be the front post. So what you're doing is, in this row, in every stitch you did a front post, you now do a normal crochet in the back row. In every row 1 of the repeat where you've done a normal double crochet, you're going to do a front post double crochet. So it's literally the opposite. And the texture, once you've got a couple rows, makes it much easier to see which one you're doing where if you've sort of lost your place or lost count, which on larger things like that giant pillowcase cover, it's easier to lose your way in those first couple of rows. Just finishing off this row with that pattern, coming up to the last 2 stitches of the row, which again, for the second row of the repeat, is a double crochet in each. My turning chain. So now you can see the waffle stitch emerging. And you can see that it follows, it'll end up looking like this larger one. Now you go for as many rows as you want. I tend to always end on the repeat of row 2 because your foundation double crochets give you this kind of edge where instead of this horizontal ridge still has post below it. So by ending on the second row of the repeat, you've got the same up here where there's kind of these ridges ending above this horizontal bar. If you finish a row before, it doesn't quite match the beginning. So I like symmetry, so that's how I do it. But you are welcome to finish at whatever point you want for whatever size you want. Now, if you want to make these dishcloths, this pattern will be on drunkdogcreative.com under crochet, along with a whole bunch of other patterns. But it uses this beautiful little waffle stitch, which is so easy to do once you know how to do front post stitches. But there you go. That's your waffle stitch. Happy hooking, everyone. Enjoy what you crochet and have a wonderful day.